Hey guys, Dan here, back with another one for you today, and this one's actually going to be very exciting. So we're just over 1 week away from WWDC 2020, and for those of you who don't know, that stands for Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference. This is a conference that happens every year, and it essentially just showcases some of the new software and potentially some of the new hardware that's going to be coming from Apple this year, giving developers a chance to prepare for the launch. So what I'm putting together for you today is just a roundup of everything that I've heard online. This is a really exciting time for news sources to be speculating, and so I'm just rounding up everything that I've heard from legitimate sources. Lots to cover today, so let's just get into it. Okay guys, so in typical Apple spirit, of course, I'm going to be using a Memoji to go through all of this. I'm sure they're going to be doing the same when they go through WWDC 2020, but let's get into everything and what we can expect. Okay, so first off, this is a given. Everybody knows it's coming, but that's iOS 14. This is just a rendering. This is not necessarily what it's going to look like. So this is deemed to be the S year of iOS, or in other words, the kind of redundant update that focuses more on performance and stability than it does on new features. Everything that I've heard pretty much lines up to that. But that being said, there's still a bunch of UI changes that could go a long way for a bunch of people. So first is third-party widgets. And now I know a lot of people have been talking about this. It has been confirmed by many leakers that Apple is in fact working on bringing these third-party widgets to iOS, but there's nothing to indicate that it's actually coming for iOS 14. Instead, they're likely saving this for next year's update. So an exciting one is actually the home screen list view. So many people know if you're using Apple Watch that you have the option to have a standard home screen with icons, or you can switch to a more accessible list view that you can scroll through. And this is something that has been speculated to be coming to iOS 14, and it'll be interesting to see the way that they do bring that to iPhones. Next, we have a fitness app. And so Apple apparently has been working on this fitness app that's going to be rolling out across iOS, across tvOS, and of course Macs as well, to keep people fit. Next is messages. And so this is going to be an exciting one for a lot of people, but in your group chats, apparently there's going to be indicators for when people are typing, indicators for who has actually read messages, so a lot to start collaborating more through messages. Another one is Pencil Kit updates. So we are looking at more enhancements to the Apple Pencil, potentially bringing it to iOS. Nothing is 100% confirmed though, and so that's something that we'll be looking into. It does make sense that that would be updated given that this is the S year and we will be having a lot of tweaks that are focusing on more improvement and more compatibility versus a bunch of new extreme features. Next is AR, and going further than just an AR app, I think generally AR is going to be really improved this year with iOS 14. It seems like with new LiDAR sensors being updated, the potential for AirTags to be coming as well, I think AR is going to play a massive part in iOS in the future, and that all starts at WWDC this year. Next is general performance improvements. Like I said, this is the year that Apple's going to be focusing on really just smoothing out any of those bugs in iOS and just making it a much better experience. And so I expect to see a bunch of minor performance improvements throughout iOS this year. And then last is compatibility across the lineup. And so one of the most exciting things for a lot of people is going to be that iOS 14 is said to be compatible with everything that iOS 13 is compatible with, which is huge. I mean, a lot of the time when a new update comes out, it leaves out a bunch of devices, making sure that you always need the newest, but it seems like Apple's trying really hard to leave their entire lineup compatible with these new updates as we go forward. So next we have Pro apps that are going to be coming to iPad. These are not set in stone, but there have been a lot of speculations that these are coming within this year at some point. Not necessarily WWDC, but potentially coming this year. And that's Xcode, Logic Pro, and Final Cut, all coming to the iPad. And so this is going to be a huge milestone, right? Like, these are some significant apps with some significant power behind them. There's a lot of people who have been doing the iPad challenge, seeing if they can use it as their main device. And while a lot of people are coming to the terms that no, they still need their computer, this could be a game changer for them. These apps coming to iPad could be the change that make them use iPad full time. So really excited to see if these do get launched, but if not coming at WWDC, they are anticipated to be coming this year at some point. Next, we have ARM-based Macs. So this is something that we've been hearing about a lot. It seems like Apple has plans to phase ARM-based Macs across the entire lineup, from MacBook to MacBook Pro to iMac. It's just a matter of when this happens. And so what we're hearing is that they could be coming next year in 2021, but it's very possible that they could be launching some news about this at WWDC. So we'll have to stay tuned to see if that's actually coming. But this could bring significant improvements across the Mac lineup in terms of performance. So next we have AirPods Studio. So obviously we all know about AirPods and AirPods Pro. And with Apple acquiring the Beats lineup a couple years ago, it only makes sense that then now they would conquer the over-ear headphones. But these are speculated to be starting at $349 with a bunch of improvements. So that includes active noise canceling, which we already have on the Pro, as well as transparency mode. Next, we have equalizer settings that are going to bring greater control over the sound that you're hearing. Head and neck detection to determine when you actually have them on and when you're listening to music, and I'm sure that'll bring similar functionality to when you take an AirPod out, where the sound pauses and then it resumes when you put it back in. And next we have swappable ear cups and padding to swap in and out for greater control. So next we have AirTags, and this is one that's been anticipated for a while now. It's not necessarily coming at WWDC, but we did see code introduced in iOS 13.2 that indicated the AirTags branding across the iOS and of course in the Find My app as well. So there is a lot of news that's hinting toward this being launched at WWDC. We'll just have to wait and see if it actually happens. And so AirTags is going to work within the Find My app. You'll be able to configure it and you'll be able to see where it is all within that central app. It'll have AR integration so that you're able to use your camera to virtually look around your house and actually find the products, and balloons will actually appear tied to the item so that you can easily locate it. And now as you walk closer to the device, it's said that sounds will increase as you get closer to navigate to find that device better, and they're also said to be waterproof. And you can see on the left that here's sort of a mock-up of what they're supposed to look like. This again is just a rendering. It's not a final design at all, but very excited to see if these do make an appearance at WWDC. This is one that I am most excited about, and this is the iMac. It's said to be having a complete redesign with iPad Pro design language. It's supposed to have a T2 chip for advanced security. They're said to be removing Fusion drives, and there's also potential for a possible 23-inch version. Now this redesign is going to have slim bezels very similar to the iPad Pro, the rounded corners, and a lot more screen real estate. So it's fair to say that a possible 23-inch version will appear, and it'll actually be the same size as the 21-inch, just removing that bezel. Interested to see if that means the 27-inch will potentially get an expansion up to 32, or if it's just going to stay at 23-inch and 27-inch versions of the iMac. So really excited to see what happens with these. And next we have Apple TV. So not much news on this whatsoever. All we know is that at any point now Apple is ready to launch an Apple TV. Whether they do that quietly or whether they do that at WWDC this year, it remains unknown. All we know about it is that it's said to have an A12X Bionic chip for better performance and a new remote. And who knows what that remote's going to look like. I know a lot of people have complained about the touchpad that exists on the current Apple TV 4th gen devices. So it'd be interesting to see how they change that and what updates come from this new Apple TV. So WWDC could be huge this year. Again, there's always the chance that some of the things that I mentioned may not make an occurrence, or there could be items that I haven't mentioned that Apple surprises us with. I'm most excited about the potential for a brand new iMac and of course a brand new Apple TV, maybe because those are the ones that we've heard the least about. But let me know in the comments what you guys are interested in, what you're most excited about. And of course, hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed it, hit that like button as well. That's great feedback for me. And I'll see you in the next one.